Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaranari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaranari Yashodanandana Prajajana Vandana Yashodanandana Prajajana Vandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Prajajana Vandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading today from Srimad-bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 18, verses 17 to 21. And the chapter is called King Yayati Regains His Youth. And so chant the Sanskrit for verse 17. Evam Vidai Suparushai Shivacharya Sutam Satim Samishta Pakshipat Kupe Vasas Chadaya Manjuna Evan Vidai Siparushai Chitvacharya Sitam Satim Sharmishta Prakshipat Kupe Vasas Chadaya Manjuna Evan Vidai Siparushai Chitvacharya Sitam Satim Shavishta Prakshipat Kupe Vasas Chadaya Manjuna Evan Vidai Siparushai Chitvacharya Sitam Satim Sharmishta Prakshipat Kupe Vasas Chadaya Manjuna Evan Vidai Siparushai Chitvacharya Sitam Satim Sharmishta Prakshipat Kupe Vasas Chadaya Manjuna Evan Vidai Siparushai Chitvacharya Sitam Satim Kupe Vasas Chadaya Manjuna Evan Vidai Siparushai Chitvacharya Sitam Satim Shavishta Prakshipat Kupe Vasas Chadaya Manjuna Evan Vidai Siparushai Chitvacharya Sitam Satim Sharmishta Prakshipat Kupe Vasas Chadaya Manjuna Evan Vidai Siparushai Chitvacharya Sitam Satim Sharmishta Prakshipat Kupe Vasas Chadaya Manjuna Woodbury Evan Vidai Sach Suparushai by unkind words Shiva after chastising Acharya Sutam the daughter of Sukracharya Satim Devyani Samishta Pakshipat through her Kupe into a well, Vasaha, the garments, Cha, and Adaya, taking away, Manjuna, because of anger. Using such unkind words, Samishta rebuked Devayani, the daughter of Sukracharya, in anger, took away Devayani's garments, and threw Devayani into a well. Next verse. After throwing Devayani into the well, Samishta went home. Meanwhile, King Yayati, while engaged in a hunting excursion, went to the well to drink water, and by chance saw Devayani. Seeing Devayani naked in the well, King Yayati immediately gave her his upper cloth. Being very kind to her, he caught her hand with his own and lifted her out. With words saturated with love and affection, Devayani said to King Yayati, "O great hero, O king, conqueror of the cities of your enemies, by accepting my hand, you have accepted me as your married wife. Let me not be touched by others, for our relationship as husband and wife has been made possible by providence, not by any human being."
Devayani обратилась к царю Yayati со словами, исполненными нежности и любви. «О, великий герой, Александр, покоривший крепости своих врагов, взяв меня за руку и стал моим мужем, я не хочу принадлежать никому другому, в наш союз устроен кем-то смертным, а самим провидением».
Srila Prabhupada's purport. While taking Devayani out of the well, King Yayati must certainly have appreciated her youthful beauty, and therefore he might have asked her which caste she belonged to.
Доставая из колодца Devayani, царь Yayati наверняка по достоинству оценил ее длинную красоту и, вероятно, спросил, к какому сословию она принадлежит.
Thus Devayani would have immediately replied, "We are already married because you have accepted my hand."
На это Devayani сразу же ответила: «Нас уже связывают супружеские узы, поскольку ты взял меня за руку».
Uniting the hands of the bride and groom is a system perpetually existing in all societies.
Согласно обычаю, который существует в любой культуре, во время заключения брака жених берет невесту за руку.
Therefore, as soon as Yayati accepted Devayani's hand, they could be regarded as married.
Поэтому можно сказать, что взяв Devayani за руку, Yayati женился на ней.
Because Devayani was enamored with the hero Yayati, she requested him not to change his mind and let another come to marry her.
Поскольку Деваяни сразу влюбилась в мужественного Yayati, она попросила его не отказывать ей, сказав, что не хочет принадлежать кому другому.
So, very interesting situation here. These two girls who were friends got in a fight, argument, and one of them was so angry that she actually threw her friend in the well. Because she had accidentally put on the other girl's clothing. And apparently, after putting on by mistake putting on the other girl's clothing, she was forced to take it off because it says here she was in the well and she was naked.
И после этого ее заставили снять ее одежду, и она оказалась ногой в колодце.
So, and along by Krishna's arrangement, they say by providence, karma, higher arrangement. King Yayati happened to come by that same well at that same time and found her there.
И по воле судьбы или по воле Кришны царь Yayati, он проходил мимо и видел ее.
And Vedic culture was such at that time that means that man and a woman would not be together, there would be no contact, there would be no touching of hands, anything between a man and a woman unless they were married.
В те времена в ведической культуре был такой обычай, что муж, что мужчина и женщина, они касались друг друга, брались за руки, касались друг друга по руке только в том случае, если они были женаты, или собирались жениться.
And in the actual, the Vedic marriage, fire sacrifice and so on, part of the ceremony is actually putting the hands together and this whole ritual. That's significant, significant part of being married.
Ведической свадьбе, во время церемонии, во время обряда, муж и жена берутся за руку, это очень значимо, они держатся за руки.
So, Devayani, so Devayani immediately took advantage of the situation.
Таким образом, она тут же воспользовалась этой ситуацией.
And she said, "Oh, you touched my hand. You pulled me out of the well."
Она сказала, он взял меня за руку и вытащил из колодца.
And therefore, we were already married. We are married now because you touched my hand and you pulled me out of the well.
И поэтому все, теперь мы женаты, потому что я вытащил из колодца за руку.
So, Vedic culture is very strict in that way. And he And he probably, it mentions here that he saw that she was very young and beautiful, so he did not object to it.
И он, царь Yayati, он видел, что она была очень молодая, очень красивая, и он не стал спорить.
And many times we see, we read in Srimad-bhagavatam about different situations that were said just happened by providence.
И очень часто мы видим в Бхагаватам, что возникает ситуация, которая случается по воле провидения.
And providence means that there's some higher authority or higher cause that's causing it. Some situations created by some higher authority.
Провидение значит, что ситуация, случай происходит по воле высшей силы.
Just like after the battle of Kurukshetra, and at the end of the battle of Kurukshetra, Grandfather Bhishma, he was lying on the bed of arrows.
Также, как после битвы на поле Курукшетра, дедушка Бхишма, он лежал на постели из стрел.
And he was, and everyone, because he was, and of course, this bed of arrows was not just like people lying on a bed of nails to show that they're showing that they're tolerating the pain. These bed of arrows is not just something you're lying on. These are bed of arrows means thousands of arrows shot through his body, and he's lying there like that, still alive.
И, конечно же, это не просто стрелы, которые лежат на земле, это стрелы, которые пронзили его тело, буквально тысячи стрел.
And all the Pandavas, so many great personalities had come to be with him at the last moment of his life.
И Пандавы получили много разных великих личностей, пришли, чтобы провести время с ним в последний момент его жизни.
And the grandfather Bhishma, he was very much appreciating, he was expressing his appreciation of the Pandavas, the five Pandavas, how they were such great devotees of the Lord.
И дедушка Бхишма, он от сердца выражал свою благодарность Пандавам, всем тем, кто пришли.
And then he also was expressing his lamentation in a sense that why did they have to go through so much problem.
Он также выражал свою
Word
он допустил о том, что случилось между ними.
Yeah, so because the Pandavas, Yudhisthira was actually supposed to be the emperor.
На самом деле, Юдхистир должен быть императором.
But because Dhritarashtra was the king, but he was, and Duryodhana, he made his son was practically speaking, acting like the emperor because Dhritarashtra was blind.
Ну, потому что Dhritarashtra был королем, он сделал своего сына Юдхистира правителем, потому что сам он был слеп, он не мог править.
And so they had been exiled from the kingdom. They were exiled there for how many years? 13, 14 years. They were forced to be out, and there were so many attempts to kill them Duryodhana was trying so many times to kill them while they were away from, outside of their kingdom.
Из-за этого 13 лет пандавы были в изгнании, и несколько раз Дуryodhana пытался их убить.
In any case, Bhishma was thinking about this and how, on one hand, he was lamenting, why did they have to go through this? But then he answered the question himself.
И девушка Бишма, он обо всем об этом думал, о всех этих случаях, и он очень грустил по этому поводу.
And the answer was, he said, he used the same words, that this is simply by providence or simply by the time factor.
И в то же время он задавался вопросом, почему это произошло, и, конечно же, ответ тот же самый, что в случае с царем Yayati, это все по воле проведения, по воле высшей силы явления.
So the understanding there was that because Lord Krishna was also present, and he allowed all this problem to come to his devotees.
Вот такое понимание, то, что Господь Кришна, который был там, тоже он позволил всему это случиться.
But it was many times Lord Krishna engages his devotees, his pure devotees, in doing different things and being in different situations for some higher purpose.
Но очень часто Господь Кришна, он занимается определенными или ставит их в такие ситуации, чтобы возвысить их.
So one of the reasons that one thing that we learned from the situation was that even after the Pandavas going through so much problem for so many years, and knowing that Lord Krishna could very easily make the problem right from the beginning, still they never lost their faith in Lord Krishna.
И одна из таких причин, то, что мы видим, случилось с пандавами, столько проблем, в то время, когда лично мог в любой момент всех проблемы разрешить, но благодаря этим проблемам мы видим, насколько сильна была эта вера.
So sometimes by some higher arrangement, the devotees of the Lord that we're reading about in Srimad-bhagavatam, our son has put in so many different situations for some higher purpose or some higher lesson that others can learn.
Иногда из-за какой-то высшей договоренности преданные Господа ставятся в такие разные ситуации, чтобы они видели их веру.
Just like another example, which happened a short time after this battle of Kurukshetra, short time, maybe a few years, I don't know exactly. Maharaj Parikshit Maharaj, he had become the king by that time. He had become the emperor.
Также мы видим совсем недолго после Курукшетры, наблюдаем ситуацию с Махараджем Парикшитом, который стал королем.
So Maharaj Parikshit had been a devotee, a pure devotee of the Lord since the very beginning.
Махарадж Парикшит, он чисто предан Господу с самого начала.
He actually saw the Lord in front of him while still within his mother's womb.
Он даже видел Господа прямо перед собой, когда он все еще был в ложе своей матери.
In fact, the word Parikshit means what? Observer. He is always looking for where is that personality I saw at that time.
Даже само имя Парикшит, оно означает наблюдатель, который постоянно смотрит, где же мой Господь.
But he was also put into an extraordinary situation.
И также он был поставлен в очень необычную ситуацию.
Because as the king, he actually said he was out hunting.
Он охотился.
Of course, the hunting is not just like hunting for sport. The hunting means you go out and you find some lion or tiger or some animal that may become problematic to the nearby town, and you challenge the Kshatriya challenges that animal simply with a sword. You'll challenge him and kill him.
И охота не значит какой-то спорт, это значит, что он нашел какого-то льва или другого животного и вызвал его буквально на этот день.
So he was out hunting in this way, and then he suddenly became very extraordinarily thirsty and extraordinarily hungry and extraordinarily tired, more than it's something that wasn't normal for him.
И таким образом охотился, и вдруг он стал необыкновенно захотелось пить, и он стал тоже необыкновенно устал.
And so when he was feeling like that, he went to a little hut, a little house, grass, some kind of hut, to see if he could get a little water, just sit down and rest a little bit.
И чувствуя эту необыкновенную жажду и усталость, он увидел небольшую хижину, и он хотел отдохнуть, и он
Now, as a Kshatriya, and especially as a pure devotee of the Lord, hunger and thirst and tiredness wouldn't really bother him.
Но также он был очень могущественный. Kshatriya, преданный Бога, обычно голод, жажда, усталость, они не так им сильно беспокоили.
But in this particular case, he felt extreme need to go into this residence of this saintly person, the Brahmana.
В этом необычном случае он чувствовал такую сильную нужду войти в эту хижину Брахмана.
But the Brahmana was actually very advanced in spiritual life, and he was sitting there in trance, something in samadhi. He was completely unaware that Archbishop hadn't even entered.
И Брахман сидел в этой хижине, он очень был духовно развит, он сидел в самадхи и совершенно не понимал окружающий мир, и даже не заметил Парикшита.
So the Brahmana didn't know that he was there, and Maharaj Parikshit was covered by Yoga Maya, I would say, because he was in there, but he couldn't perceive that this Brahmana was actually, deep in meditation and was not aware that he was there.
И Брахман был в медитации, не знал, что Махарадж Парикшит был там, в то время как Махарадж Парикшит, он был под влиянием Йога Майи, и он не понимал, что вообще происходит.
So thinking that the Brahmana was actually aware that he was present and was not greeting him or responding to him or offering some water, offering him a place to sit, anything like normal etiquette. He was thinking like that, so he became angry with the Brahmana.
И под влиянием Йога Майи Парикшит, он не понимал, что куда он его видит, и думал, что почему он не предлагает ему воды, и несколько сесть, и он очень сильно разъярился.
And even that was unusual. He wouldn't normally become angry like this, but he became angry. And then what did he do? You're insulted. You're thinking this person is insulting me by ignoring me. And I'm the king. You know?
И обычно это так он беспокоил, в этом случае он значит, разозлился, потому что этот Брахма пытается его как-то оскорбить, его короля.
So what did Maharaj Parikshit do? He thought, okay, I will insult him. So what's the biggest insult? You take a dead snake and you wrap it around like a garland. We would put on a flower garland. You put a garland of snake.
Махарадж Парикшит, когда его отомщу ему, я тоже его оскорбил, и что является самым большим оскорблением, это если намотать кому-то мертвую змею вместо деревянной мишени.
And of course, how often do we find dead snakes just happen to lay laying on the ground right where we are?
Ну и, конечно же, как часто мы находим мертвых змей, которые валяются на земле.
So these are all arrangements made by higher authorities to bring the situation to a certain point.
Конечно же, это все устроено Господом.
So Maharaj Parikshit just he did that, but then he just went back home, back to his his palace.
И после этого случая Махарадж Парикшит отправился домой в свой дворец.
And as soon as he got back to the palace, he was thinking, "Why did I do that? That's unnecessary. Why did I insult him in this way?"
И как только он вернулся обратно домой, он подумал, зачем я это все сделал? Зачем я входил в эту Брахму?
And while all this was happening, well, Maharaj Parikshit was in the Brahmana's home and insulted him in this way. The Brahmana's son was also Brahmana, but uncultured at that point. He saw everything.
Во время этого оскорбления, когда Махарадж Парикшит был в хижине сына этого Брахмана, он был снаружи, и он все видел.
So and he usually the Brahmanas were very, very respectful to the Kshatriyas, and Kshatriyas are very respectful to the Brahmanas normally.
И обычно Брахманы очень уважали Кшатриев, и наоборот, Кшатрии тоже очень уважали Брахманов.
But in this case, his son saw saw what had happened, and he immediately became extremely angry, and he was with his friends. So he showed his friends, okay, I'm going to curse this nonsense king.
И сын этого Брахмана услышал, что случилось, и обычно Брахманы так сильно делились, но в этом случае он очень сильно разделился, и он был со своими друзьями и сказал, я не могу проклятие этого царя.
So even as a young boy, he had some brahminical power, but he was not very cultured. He didn't really understand what he should be doing, how he should be living as a Brahmana. But still, he had some shakti. There's another word there. But, he had something. He had some power.
Несмотря на свой юный возраст, у него была сила, шахти, и в то же время он не был культурно образован, поэтому он нанес проклятие.
So this boy, in front of his friends, he said, he had so many things to say bad about Maharaj Parikshit as the emperor, and he had some bad things to say. But and then he cursed him. He cursed him that because he did like this to a high-class Brahmana, my father. Therefore, I'm cursing now. At this point, cursing him. And from this day forward, in 7 days he will die.
Мальчик, он договорился с одними сначала, И потом он поклял Махараджа Парикшита, что тот умрет через 7 дней.
And he wasn't just going to die, he wasn't just going to drop dead, he was going to die being bitten by a snake bird.
И проклятие заключалось в том, что он, Махарадж Парикшита, он умрет. И не просто умрет, он умрет от укуса дальше змеи птицы.
Snake bird was basically it was a magical type of creature but who was he was cursing the king to be bitten by this creature in 7 days and die.
И птица змея это такое волшебное существо, которое должно было быть Махараджа Парикшита.
But so anyway, Maharaj Parikshit went back to his palace. And he was lamenting. He was feeling sorry. Why would I act that way with the Brahmana? It was not necessary.
Когда Махарадж Парикшит вернулся домой, он очень сильно раскаивался от своего поступка.
And his son, as soon as the whole incident was over, he became very. He also felt bad. I did something really wrong. I did something really bad. And he was telling his father.
И мальчик, сын Брамана, он тоже после того, как он нанес это проклятие, он тоже раскаивался, почему это сделал.
And his father, feeling very mad, because my son, you just cursed the emperor of the world, who's a great devotee of the Lord. What have you done?
Его отец, Браман, он тоже раскаивался, он спрашивался у своего сына, зачем ты так поступил, это же император всего мира, чистый преданный Господу.
So the Brahmana, felt it was his duty to go and tell Maharaj Parikshit what had happened. His son had actually cursed him.
Браман чувствовал, что его долг пойти и рассказать Махараджу Парикшиту о том, что случилось, проклятие.
And Maharaj Parikshit, being a great pure devotee of the Lord, he heard, "Oh, I've been cursed to die in 7 days." He actually was not upset.
Махарадж Парикшит, когда он услышал об этом, о том, что он умрет через 7 дней, он не сильно расстроился.
He immediately thought, okay, let me renounce my kingdom and turn it over to my son or sons.
Он тут же решил, что это время для меня отречься, и решил передать свое царство своим сыновьям.
He made all arrangements very quickly, and then he renounced everything, and he went off to the bank of the Ganges.
И он тут же договорился со всеми, отрекся и пошел на берег Ганги.
He was actually happy to put all this, dealing with the material energy, put all that behind him, and just concentrate his mind on the Lord's devotional service.
На самом деле он счастлив, что он мог закончить со всеми этими материальными проблемами, и он мог сосредоточиться на своем партии.
So he went to the bank of the Ganges, and because he was the emperor of the whole world, so people were coming, demigods were coming, everyone was going to be there at this point because they knew in 7 days he's going to be leaving this world.
Я пошел на берег реки Ганги, и все начали собираться со всего мира, потому что он был императором всего мира.
And he was very intelligent, but he was a different saintly persons from all over. And he was asking, so what is the goal of life? What should one be doing at the time when he's just about ready to die?
И он был очень разумный, поэтому когда все святые, все мудрецы стали собираться возле него, он начал спрашивать, в чем цель жизни.
And the different people gave different opinions. But then Shukadeva Goswami came wandering by.
Я разные мнения молился, разные мнения, и в этот момент Шукадева Госвами тоже там пришел.
And that was also obviously by some higher arrangement. Shukadeva Goswami had been in his mother's womb for 16 years, and he came out and immediately went out preaching.
Конечно же, это тоже сейчас более поведения, потому что Шукадева Госвами 16 лет был в лоне своей мамы, и как только он родился, он только пошел на встречу с царем Парикшитой.
But everyone knew that he was the son of Srila Vyasadeva, and they also understood his spiritual qualities. So even though he came wandering by and he was naked, because he had never stopped to get dressed after he was born, he came and he was appeared like that. But immediately they accepted him, and Lord Krishna accepted him as his teacher who would guide him in his last days before he died.
И все понимали, кто он такой, его духовную силу. Они все знали, что это сын Васудевы. И ежесекундно Махарадж Парикшит принял его как своего духовного учителя.
And of course, the end result was that he spoke the Srimad-bhagavatam. Shukadeva Goswami spoke Srimad-bhagavatam as he heard it from Srila Vyasadeva. And of course, now we have Srimad-bhagavatam.
И в результате Шукадева Госвами он произнес Шримад-бхагаватам, Махараджа Парикшит, и теперь у нас есть Шримад-бхагаватам.
So there actually are quite many situations, specific situations that come up in the Vedas where some extraordinary thing happened made by a higher arrangement, providence we're talking about here, and as a result, and some good came out of that.
Делать мы видим очень много ситуаций, которые через побольное проведение и результаты какое-то благо получаем из этого.
And we also find we are practicing Krishna consciousness. We may find many times in our lives but it seems like it's a very difficult situation. But in the end, if we're in the right consciousness, we'll see that difficult situation was actually there was some kind of benefit from it.
И когда мы практикуем сознание Кришны, с нами часто встречаются какие-то тяжелые случаи, сложные ситуации, в которые мы попадаем. Но в конце концов мы видим, что эти ситуации, они нам приносят благо, если мы остаемся в сознании Кришны, мы понимаем.
So ultimately, we're practicing Krishna consciousness. We need to always remember that any situation, good or bad, that comes up of its own accord, and within our lives, it's coming ultimately from Lord Krishna, and He's a well-wishing friend, and it'll be the best thing for us.
Когда мы практикуем сознание Кришны, очень важно помнить то, что любая ситуация, которая сама происходит, что случается, это по воле Бога, это по воле провидения, и то, что Кришна желает нам самого лучшего.
Like that. Anyway, these are a couple of points related to this verse and these verses and so forth. Any questions or comments?
В любом случае, это пару моментов, которые я хотел сегодня обсудить в отношении текста.
Yes. Let's use the microphone here so that others can hear.
Krishna, thank you for your class and understanding that bad things happen. In the purport where Srila Prabhupada mentions that he could have asked in the past, and I wonder if your take on it is kind of aiming that towards kind of Hindu, like if we're beyond this past, he kind of mentions that there was I'm wondering if it's relevant to anything that he's kind of mentioning, like, when Krishna explains that, caste is not by birth and so forth.
Well, it's not specifically mentioned why, which is a big point here, but
Вопрос был задан. Спасибо, сейчас благодарность за лекцию. Это был вопрос насчет кастовой системы, когда Прабхупад рассказывает о своем комментарии.
Yeah, he could have. He would have, because he saw, oh, here's this nice, beautiful girl, and in Vedic culture, ideally, if you're Kshatriya, you have a Kshatriya wife, or a Kshatriya, you could have a Brahmana wife, but he could have asked her, but before he even got a chance to ask her, she's immediately saying, "Hey, we're already married. You just held my hand."
Yayati участвовал в военных колодцах, у него была возможность спросить ее сословие, но этого не сделал. После Деваяни тут же сказал ему, что все, мы с тобой женаты. Вопрос был, почему не воспользовался этой возможностью.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, so we are here for today. Tomorrow we'll continue with the Srimad-bhagavatam, see what else happens. Srila Prabhupada ki